Hello. Okay. Sorry for the audio delay. I hope now you can listen me. Okay, so let me repeat myself. Myself Krupali Busa, and I welcome you all on behalf of Know-How Academy to the Power App live session. So let me tell you what you are learning in this live session. In this live session, you are going to develop or you are going to learn how to develop Power App within one day, even if you are a coder or non-coder. Okay. Now, you may have a question, what is know-how? So let me tell you who we are. So know-how is an academy where it transforms your educational into experience learning approach. Now, what you may have a question, what is experience learning approach? So experience learning approach means you are not learn only the concept, but whatever concept you are going to learn, that concept you will learn using the practical real life scenario. Okay, so I hope you got what is Know How Academy and who we are. Now let me tell you the agenda, what we are going to see in this live session. So first of all, we will see what type of problem we will face or what type of problem we are facing when we are using some application, or what type of problem we are facing in our real life situation. Now, second thing, how Power App will solve this problem. And the third thing, how to configure Power App. And the fourth thing, how Power App application we will be developed based on real life scenario. Okay. Now, let's start with the real life problem. Okay. So, assuming you are working on a project that involve developing an application for managing expense according to the different departments. Now, let's say a company has several departments like IT department, customer care department, sales department, product department. Now, let's say as a HR, if you are managing Excel sheet, then it is very complicated to develop to manage a different Excel sheet. Now let's say in one Excel sheet you are managing the data of IT expenses. In second sheet you are managing the data of sales. In third Excel sheet you are managing the data of customer care, or you are managing the expense data of that. So day by day your data will increase and it is very difficult to handle that. So what we are going to solve this problem? So as you can know, or as I can say that to solve this type of problem, we will going to use the Power App application. Now using Power App, we are going to develop an application. So let's see what is Power App, how we can develop Power application using Power App, and all these things. So first of all, let me tell you what is Power App. So Power App is one of the Microsoft product, or you can say it is a software as a services. To develop application using Microsoft Power App, you do not need to install anything in your computer. You just need a internet access, your work or school account, and then you can start developing your application. Now you may have a question that we don't have work or school account. So how can we do that? Can we create an account using Gmail? So let me tell you, Power App developer account you cannot create using Gmail, but still you can create account, your work or school account for free, and then you can start developing your application. So let me tell you how you can develop or how you can create your school or work account in Microsoft. So let me open a new tab. I'm opening it in an incognito tab because I already log in. So if I try to show you, automatically it will take my login ID and password. So first of all, you need to search for Microsoft 365, Microsoft 365. Then whatever the first link you are able to see, you need to click on that first link. And here in the product section, you need to go for pricing for business, or you can select pricing for small business, whatever. Now if you scroll down little bit, Microsoft has a several plan for that. So I know you may have a question that here we need to pay for that. No, you do not need to pay for that. Why? Because for each and every plan they are giving a 1 month free trial. So you need to click on 1 month free trial, and then you can start creating your own Microsoft work or school account. So let's say my school account I want to create. So I need to write krupali@gmail.com. Let's say I already told you that Gmail account will not work, but let me tell you what will happen if you write it. So now see, it's look like that you need to create an account. So let's start creating account as a Krupali Busa. So you no need to click on change my email, but you need to click on set up account. Then you need to give your details like that, your first name, middle name, surname, job title, phone number, company and region. Then you need to click on next. So you need to give your detail, and Microsoft will give you the email ID based on your first name and last name, whatever you have provided, and that email ID you can use for 1 month free. And the domain of the email ID domain of that email ID will be on microsoft.com. Okay, so I am not creating account because I have already account, but you can follow this link to create your first app using a Power App. And here you can see that you can see that they will ask a payment info, but you do not need to pay anything. You just need to enter your credit card or debit card number. They will not going to charge you. Why? Because it is they are saying that 1 month free, but for security purpose they are taking your credit card or debit card number. Okay, so I hope you understand how to create a Microsoft account, work or school account in using free for 30 days. Now let me go back to that. Okay, let me close this incognito tab and let's jump into that Power App. Now let's come back to our topic, that is what is Power App. I already told you what is Power App, how to create a work or school account in Power App. Now if you aware that if you may aware what is Power App, so you can tell in the chat box that what is Power App, how Power App help you to solve your problem. Okay, but those who don't know, don't worry, I am going to tell you what is Power App. Okay, so here this is the link for creating a Power App developer account. So let's say you have already work or school account, then what you can do? So let me show you. You need to search for Power App developer login, and then here you can see the first link of that. When I click on that, the screen will be open. This is the Power App developer account. Then you need to click on sign in. When you click on sign in, automatically my sign in page will appear. Why? Because I have already logged in that. But when you click on sign in, they will ask for login ID and password, and here you need to enter a login ID and password using which you have created a Microsoft 365 free account, and then after login you will able to see this screen. I hope you get it. Now the next thing is, before going to actual implementation part of the Power App, let me tell you what are the buzzwords of Power App. The first buzzword is canvas. Second is control, data source and data binding. Those who are from IT background, they may know the what is the meaning of data source and what is the meaning of data binding. But let me tell you for those who are from non-IT background. So first, canvas. So what is canvas? So basically in general term we can say that when we are painting anything, so we start painting on a canvas. So in Power App, canvas is a screen on which you are going to design your application. So let's say you will decide here I need to put heading on the top of the screen, I need to put button. So let me show you how canvas will look. Now see, this is the canvas and I have decided where to put heading, where to put button and all these things. So this background, whatever you are seeing, on which I have designed my page, that is called canvas. The second thing is controls. Control means, let's say you design you can see the login screen on your page, okay, and you may see different type of login screen. So here I have taken a screenshot of one of the login screen. It will ask for username, password, and then you need to click on login button. Now see here, this and this. These are called controls. Control means where or using which user can interact with the application. So here you need to enter your here you need to enter your username, here you need to enter your password, and then you can click on login button. So button, text box, labels, links these are the types of controls in Power App. And the next thing is data source. Data source basically what? Now let's say we have some information. Let's say we all know about the Maldives issue. So from where we are getting this information? So using a newspaper, from newspaper on Instagram, on social media. So we are getting the data about what is the issue of Maldives. Okay, so this is called data source. Now how data source is useful in Power App? Now let me show you. Now see, when you run the application, here you can see some data. Here when I click on, something is changing. So my application will get data from somewhere. Now that is called data source. Now your data source can be web, your data source can be SQL Server, your data source can be anything. So basically from where your application will fetch the data, that is called data source. The next thing is data binding. Data binding means we have a data source, we have an application. Then using something, we are going to display data on our Power App screen. So that is called binding. Now let me explain you with the simple example that we all are using a temperature we all are using the temperature application. What is the temperature of my city, what is the temperature of my area? So now see, using a weather forecasting, the temperature, day to day temperature data is saved somewhere. Where? Somewhere in a data, okay, somewhere in a database. Now let's say you are using an application. So when you open the application, you will able to see what is the temperature of today or what is the temperature of my location. So when somewhere data is stored and your application is seeing the data, so that process from somewhere to your application, when we are binding that, when we are giving this information, that is called data binding. So I hope you understand what is the meaning of data binding. Now, you understand the buzzwords of Power App. Now you all are eager that how to create an application using Power App. So let's start implementing the application, or let's start creating an application. So let me tell you what I have designed a demo for you. So as I told you that let's say you are managing an application, you need to manage the data of expense, and using a Power App I am managing the data. So see, in my company there are 3 departments. Definitely there are more than departments are there. These 3 departments are there, but this is the demo application which I am showing. So I have added only 3 departments. So IT department, sales department and production department. And here I am adding the expenses of the respective department. So let's say I am adding the expenses of the IT department. So let's say IT department, I am adding the expenses of, let's say we buy a computer for that and the amount is 10,000. Then I am adding the expenses. I am not managing only one expenses, but the next expense is, let's say, salary of month January. And let's say I am giving the salary, let's say 30,000 total, 30,000. And then I am adding the expenses. Now these two expenses I want to insert in my data. So let me click on save. So whatever the data or whatever the expenses I have added, it permanently stores somewhere in the data. Now let me show you where it's stored. So this is the application where user will interact, but backend side we are storing some data. So where I am storing this data? So I am storing this data in my Dataverse. That is one of the table called expense table. So let me show you where the data is stored. So this application is using two tables. One table here, see, one table is already there, that is called department, from where the data is coming. Okay, and here the data is, we are giving data to the table, and here we are taking data from the table. So this data is coming from department table. So let me show you where this department table is. So here this is the data of department, which you can see that. As I told you that I am taking data from the data source, and the second thing, my application is giving data into the some table. So let me show you. We have added expenses of salary and all these things. So let me show you the table, and don't worry, I will tell you how to create tables and everything, but first understand the concept. Okay, so here I have added the expenses of that. Okay, so let me just show you two additional. Now see, we have added the salary month January in that particular department, and we have added the expenses of the computer. Now you may have a question, what are this? So I have already added some data before this live session, so that's why you are going to see this. Now what you need to learn to develop this type of application. So to learn this, first of all, I am teaching this today I am teaching you I will teach you three concepts. The first one is Dataverse. Dataverse is basically what? Dataverse is basically a kind of online database which will manage the data. The second thing is that we need to learn Power App. So I am going to teach you what is Power App. And the third one, that is most important, publishing the app. Publishing the Power App, or you can say publishing the app. So today you will going to learn these three. Now you may have a question that, ma'am, we don't know anything about Dataverse. So don't worry, we are going to arrange a live session in future for that will tell you about what is Dataverse. But don't worry, I will quickly show you how to create tables in Dataverse. So for that, first of all, when you first time log in into the Power App, here you can see the menu. So here we need here we need to make two tables for managing a expense. First table we are going to make is department table. And the second table we will manage, that is expense table. Okay, so let's create this two table, and these two table are related with each other. Okay, so let me go there, and from here you can create a table in Dataverse. So you do not need to log in separately for the Dataverse. Okay, automatically here there is an option called table, and by clicking on that you will redirect it to the Dataverse. So here you can see the Dataverse. Now you may have a question that these are the several tables, but don't worry, these are the inbuilt tables. Okay, so we need to create our own table. So we need to go to the custom and create new table, and here you need to click on add columns and data, and then you need to first of all give the table name. So I'm giving the table name that is department underscore table, and click on save. Okay, sorry. Now see, I have already, you have already have a table with this name. Please give a new name. Okay, why? Because I have already given that, so they are showing you a warning. So let me just give a table name as a DEPTBL. Okay, so this is the short form I am giving. You can give any name. Okay, so click on save and then click on create downside. Okay, uh, okay. Now table is created. Now, when any table is created in a Dataverse, default column you can see that. Okay, so let me give a default column. Let me rename the default column. That is, by default the name is new name, but here I am giving the name as department ID. Okay, and let me zoom the screen properly so you can see that. Give me a second. Okay, I hope you can see now. Okay, so department ID, and then you need to select the data type. So department ID I don't want to manually enter, so this that's why I am selecting the auto number, and it will start with the department. Okay, so it will automatically insert data, that is department 0022 whatever. Okay, and click on save here. Okay, so it will take some time. Why? To save this. Why? The reason is everything we are creating that is stored in a cloud, not in your local computer. Then see, the department table is created with the department ID column. Now you want to enter, you want to create one new column. So you need to click on plus sign, and here you need to write the name of the column, that is department name. And here I am selecting this is single line of text, and I am storing only the text value in that. So you need to click on save. Okay, so department name is created. Now let's enter the data into that. So here it is disabled. Why? Because it is auto number. So when you enter the department name, automatically the number will be given. So my department, first department I am entering, that is sales. Okay, now see, one row was not saved. Sometimes that error come. So how to solve this? Okay, so for that you just need to refresh it, the tab, and okay, let's again enter this information, that is sales department, SALES, sales. Okay, automatically you can see the number is given. Now next department is IT department. Okay, and see the 1001, automatically they will enter the number. Okay, so we do not need to remember what is the number of that department and so on. Then customer care. Then the next department I am entering, that is production department. And now see, that is enough for creating a department. So department table is created, and this is the unique key of that department. Each department is uniquely identify this department ID. So we have finished with creating the department table. Now what we are going to create? Now the next thing we are going to create is the expense table. Now what expense table will contain? So expense table will contain the expense ID, then it will contain expense description, then it will contain the expense amount. Okay, and then it will contain this expense is of which department. So this will contain the department ID. So basically this department expense table will contain the reference column, that is department ID, and which is primary key of the primary key of the department table. So let's see how we can create that. So for that, again you need to just scroll up little bit and click on the tables. So we have created a table, and you can check it out, the name of the table which we have created. Now let's again create a new table with add columns and data, and this time I am creating quickly, because how to create that. Okay, so this is the expense table name I am giving it, expense TBL, and click on save. Now let me zoom little bit so you can see it properly. Okay, now this is too much zoom, let it be, otherwise I cannot see anything on the screen because of very big zoom. Okay, so let me click on create. So table is created, and again we need to create a columns in that. So one default column, let me edit this column, and here expense ID, and this time I am keeping this as an auto number, and I am adding the prefix is exp, sorry, not exo but exp, and click on save. So automatically expense number will give, and the second column we are going to manage, we are going to create it, that is expense ID. Okay, so let's create a new column by clicking on plus sign, sorry, not ID but expense description. Okay, so expense description, that is a single line of text, and this is the simple. Click on save to create that, and let's say here let me create the third column, that is expense amount, and here this time I am selecting number. Why? Because expense amount we will store it in a decimal form, okay, that is 30,000 point something and all this thing. Okay, so that's why. So click on save to do that. Okay, so expense amount, and last but not the least, that we are adding a reference column. This expense is for which department? So click on that plus sign and department ID, and here we use single line of text, not single line of text, but here we need to use the data type as a lookup. Okay, so lookup we need to select that, and when you click on lookup, okay, so then you need to select the table from the lookup. Okay, so give me a second, and here this is not optional, but we need to write it as a business required, and we need to select the related table for that. Okay, so here you can check it out, the table which we have created. Okay, so you need to give a name of the table from which we are referring this column. So we have given the table called we have given the name of the table called department table. Okay, so select that and click on save. Okay, now see, we have created this, and here automatically it will you can see that select lookup. Now let's enter some expense for that. Okay, so this is the expense, this amount I am entering. This is, let's say here, test expense, and the amount is 100. Okay, so now when you click on, automatically you will able to see. So you need to select that. Let's say this is the test expense of department 2. Now again the same error come. So let's just refresh it. So automatically this error will go. Okay. Okay, let me again this, because of the refresh. Error was there, so that's why the data is not saved. Otherwise it will save. Okay. This is the expense. Okay, now see, automatically the number expense number is given. Now next expense is, let's say salary expense. Now the salary expense, let's say, okay, sorry, cancel, salary expense, let's say 1 lakh rupees, and that the salary expense is of department. Let's say if it is not coming, you need to select the tab and double click, automatically it will appear. Okay, and then now this is the enough data, test data for that, and your data is saved permanently. Now the next thing, what we need to do, whatever table we have created, we need to bind that table with a Power App. So first, now the next thing is start creating a Power App. So we are finishing with the base level work of creating a table and all this thing. Now what is the next thing? So you need to click on create to create an application. Now in Power App, you can create two type of application. One is the model driven app and the second one is a canvas app. And in this demo session, I will tell you how you create a canvas app. So you need to click on blank canvas app for creating an application and click on create. And you need to give a name to that application. So I am giving a name to the application is expense demo, and since I am doing it in a live session, so that's why I am giving that expense demo live. And you can select any format, whether the mobile format or a phone format. So I am selecting, whether the tablet or a phone. So I am selecting the tablet format, and let's click on create. Okay. Now when you create an application, you can see this screen. Okay. Now let me show you. This is the menu. Here from where you can add the screen, and you can see what is the properties of the screen, what is the name of the screen, and all these things. So default screen they will provide you. Now here I need to create this type of screen. Now this is called responsive screen. Why responsive screen? Because now see, if you see it in a mobile phone, it will change according to that. Okay, so for that, when you turn your device, how it will look. So that is called responsive screen. So how you can design a responsive screen in Power App? So let me go back, and you need to click on new screen, and this three type of screen, you can say this is a responsive screen you can create. So I am creating this responsive screen. So you can see how it will look it into the mobile and how it will look it into your tablet. Okay, so let me click on that, and here when you click on that, you need to add some controls in that. Okay, so let me zoom that screen. So here we will add our header, here we will add our department, and here we will design a screen for that. Now let's quickly add the controls. Now you already know what is a control, so you need to create a plus sign. You need to click on plus sign, and here control is added. Double click on that, and here expense data. Okay, you can see that. Expense data, and here you can see this is whatever data I am entering. Here you can check it out. So this is the properties of the screen. Now if I want to move it to the center align, you can go ahead, and now this particular thing you want to keep here. So for that you need to click on header container, and you need to click on this sign and this. So automatically it will come into that. So you cannot directly drag into that. Okay, and if you want to increase the size of the particular label, you need to click on that and click on this size. Let's say 20, font size is 20, and for that you need to increase the width, that is 300, width I am increasing. So here I have added the label. Now here I am going to add the expense. Now here my expense, here my department data will come from the data table. Which table? Whichever table we have created, that is department table. So for that I need to add a vertical gallery for that. Okay, now gallery will hold the data from the database, and then I need to select the table. Now you can search, that is department TBL. Okay, and you need to click on the department TBL. So automatically your data will be added into the Power App, and you can see. Now we have not added any image and anything, so I am just selecting the title only. So department will come, and this time I want to see the department name rather than department ID. So I am selecting the department name, and here you can see the department name is coming. Okay, now let me go back to the screen. Okay, so select the department, that is the label I need to edit for given that. So click on this sidebar container and insert one label into that. Okay, now this label is downside. I want to make it as a top. So you need to click on this, click on reorder and move to the top. So you can check it out, and then you can select department. Department. Okay, and here I'm increasing the size little bit, that is font, as well as increasing the width of that, that is instead of 150 I'm making it 200. Okay, and I'm making it to be like this. Okay, so you can see the department data is created. Okay, now next thing is we need to design that screen. We can add expenses on that. So here we will add two labels, two text box, one button, and here in blank that is a gallery where we are going to add expense, and we will see that, and we will add one button to save permanently this expense into that. Okay, so let's design it quickly. So here you need to select that container, and first of all add two labels, that is text label for showing the department, and the next is department ID, then text box for entering the expenses description, second one is for description amount, and third one is button, and fourth one is gallery for holding the expense, and the second last one is button for save the expense. Okay, so we have designed a screen. Now you can see that this control, the gap is not here, the gap is there, but whatever we have designed, the gap is not there. So select the main container, go to the container property, and here there is a gap. So it is 0, so increase the gap. So you can see the gap is created between this. Now here I want to see the department name. So here I am giving the name of that label is LBN department name. So here we will going to display the department name, and it is always give a unique name to each and every control on your screen. Okay, so we will use it for coding purpose. So label department, then department ID we will display, then here we will display the we will take some value from that. So here we will write enter expense detail, and here we will give the name of the text boxes txt expense detail. Okay, I have given it in a capital, but it's okay, you can give it in a small also. And here I am giving the name of that is expense amount, and here I will display the hint text, that is enter expense amount. Hint text is what? Let me tell you. When you click on that, it will disappear, but you will get an idea that what I need to enter in that. Okay, so that is called hint text. Okay, and enter expense amount. So you can see that, and button, that let me add the button text, that add expense. Okay, and here that is save all expense. Save all expense. Okay, and here let me give the button name, that is btn add expense, and here this is btn save all. Now this is for coding purpose, and whatever text you are displaying, that is for user purpose, what user will see. And let me just increase the width also. Give me a second, let me increase the width. Okay, height is there, width little bit I need to increase, that is 300. Okay, so you can see that. And button you can, I also increase, so both will look same. And this gallery control will hold the data from the expense table. Okay, now this table will contain data from where, let's say if I am entering something and click on that add expense, so here it will add it, and whatever data is there in that, we are going to store it into the expense table. Okay, so let's see that how we need to do. So let me show you. Now first what we are going to do, when we click on this, you can see when I click on this name will come, when I click on this name will come. So let's do this first, and then we will going to see next. Okay, so first of all, when you select the text property, in that you need to write whatever the department here it is selected, that I want to see it here. So in that, first of all, let me give the name of the gallery control, that is gallery department. So gallery underscore department. Why? Because it is easy for me to understand, because this is gallery and this is also gallery. So in future I will confuse what is the name of this gallery and what is the name of this gallery. So that's why I am giving a name to that. So here I need to write in a text property that gallery department dot selected department name. Okay, so here it will, you can see, and on that I want to display the ID of that. So here gallery department dot selected department ID, automatically the column name you can see it here. Okay, so department ID. So let me save this and run this. Okay, now see, when you click that, automatically it will display. Okay, now let me zoom little bit so you can see the code properly. Here what I have written. So now see, this is the gallery and this is the gallery. Now the next thing is, whenever I click on this add button, now let me show you again this demo. When I, let's say here I am adding this expense of sales test expense and 1000, and when I click on that, the data will be added in this. Data will be added in this. So for that, what I need to do? So I need to create a collection on that. Now what is collection? So basically a collection is a kind of data source where you can store data temporarily, and from that you will going to store somewhere, that is in our table. Okay, so let me tell you how to create a collection on that. So you can create a collection at the app start, you can create collection on visible screen, anywhere you can create a collection. So I am creating a collection on visible property of the screen. So select that screen and click on visible property, and then you need to write clear collect and give the collection name, that is expense, exp collection. Okay, and then I want to initialize with the blank, so expense collection. So my collection is created. Now when I click on that when I click on that button, I want to add the data into the collection. Now let me save and run this. I will show you how you can see the collection. Okay, so here see, my collection is created when screen will see. Screen you can see. So now you need to click on X, and here you can see the expense is there. And when you click on view table, you can see there is no data. Why? Because when I click on the button, then the data will be added. So let me add the data into the collection, and remember, collection will not store data on permanent basis, but it will store the data when your application run, and the data will be disposed when your application will close or whatever. And whatever data is there, if you are adding something, if you are removing something from data, it will not affect the collection. But definitely we can load data into the collection, we can remove data into the collection. But first what we will do, we will first add the data or load the data into the collection. So let me click on the button, and on button select event what I need to write. So let me go to the app and let me show you. Here on add expense, I have added the collection. I have added the record in the collection. So basically let me show you what data is there. So my collection name is 1. Okay, now see the data like it is containing the data like that. So why I am storing data? Because whatever data I am going to store in that, when I click on save all, data will be added into the expense table. Okay, so let me create a collection, let me add the data into that. So go to the app, click on your button, and on button on select property you need to write a code. Now this is a one line, you can see that. You can click here to expand this, and you can click on expand formula bar. And to add data in the existing collection, what you need to write? Collect. Okay, then after you need to write a round bracket, and inside a bracket you need to add the data. So in which data, in which collection you want to add the data. So this is the expense collection which you have created. Then you need to write a comma, and inside a curly bracket you need to add the data. Now collection, when you are adding data into the collection, it is just like we are storing the information into the table. Okay, so we need to give a column name, that is what data actually we are adding. So let me go to the table which we have created. Where is the table? Okay, let me refresh this tab. So I will tell you what elements we need to add into the collection. Okay, so go to the custom, and here we have a expense table. Here you can see that, and we have a column called expense description, expense amount, and department ID. Why? Because three columns are there. This first column we are not adding. Why? Because it is auto generated. So it will automatically add the value when a collection data we will load it into the table. Okay, so let me go back to that and create a column. So let's say expense description, and then you need to write the name of the text box. So txt expense detail dot text, and the second thing we are entering, that is expense amount, and then you need to, sorry, no need to write equal to sign, you need to write the name of the text box. So this is text box expense amount. Okay, let me check it what I have given the name of that text box. Okay, exp amount. Okay, so click on this again, you can, okay, sorry, expand it again, exp amount dot text. Now see, this is the expense amount column is contain numeric value, but when we are taking data from the text box, default it will be in a text form, so you need to convert it into a value. Value will convert data, text data, into the number format. Then you need to enter the ID of the respective department. So that is department ID, and you need to use lookup for that. Why lookup? Because this, when we are entering data into the reference column using a Power App, we cannot directly add data from the label or anything. So we need to use lookup, and then you need to write the name of the department, that name of the table which contain the data of the department. So department table, then department ID equal to label which contain the department ID dot text. Okay, so your data will be added. Now let me show you the code. Now see, we have added the same thing, but here we are not adding actually data into the collection, but later on we can edit, but you edit here also, but I have not added here, but here I have added this. Okay, so it's your choice whether you want to edit here in the collection or you want to directly edit into that. Okay, so let me remove this. I'm not adding here, and let me click on save. Sometime you will see here the red notification dot, that is indication of error. Okay, so data is added into that, and once the data is added, I need to clear the value what is there in a text box. So for that you need to use reset, and then detail dot, okay, sorry, then you need to write comma, semicolon, reset, and then expense amount. Okay, let me run and check it out whether the data is added or not. Okay, so let me add here, select the customer care department, and here I am adding the test expense, that is 100. So data here it is added, but I cannot see it. Why? The reason is I need to add the source of my data into this gallery control. So here I need to add the collection which I have created. So when you click on the gallery, you can see the automatically whatever collection you have created. So collection is created. Now this gallery form I don't want, because I want to see only the title and the subtitle. So you can check it out. But see here, the entire format is changed. Okay, I cannot see the data properly. Whatever the thing is there, it's just hide it behind the gallery. So the reason is that you need to go to the screen, and here in this gallery, let me give the name to the proper gallery. This is gallery of expense. Okay, and here you need to move it to the little bit, move to the down. So okay, here it's not come. Okay, let me move to the bottom, actually not down, move to the bottom, so you can check it out. But here that button I want upside, so this button I want to make it a little bit down, so move down. Now see, it's not coming. The reason is the height of the gallery, I need to set it properly. Okay, so let me just, okay, let me just minimize my screen little bit so you can check it out. Okay, so let me decrease the width of the gallery, sorry, height of the gallery. That is where is height? Okay, this is height. Let me make it as a 400. So still it is more, so let it make me 300. Okay, not 300 but 350. I think it's good, not 350 but 330 is good. So now you can see the table properly, and whatever the data you have added, you can see that, but the amount is not seeing. So you need to click on this field, and here instead of both the details are about the expense detail, so one of the details should be expense amount, so you need to select that. Now you can save and run it. Okay, now let's say here I am adding the expenses of petrol, and let's say 3000. So you can see. Okay, now let's say add the expense of this is the data of customer care, so bill expense or mobile bill, and then 3000 rupees. So whatever the data you have added in that gallery control will hold the data. Now the next thing is, whenever I click on save all expenses, I need to save the data in my expense table till whatever the data I have added in this customer care, it is not saved into the table. To save this data into the table, I need to write another code. Okay, so for that, whatever data is there in my gallery, I need to add this data into the table. Which table? Let me show you. You already know in which table we are going to add the data. That is expense table. Okay, here let me go to the table and click on that. So automatically see, I have 3 type of expenses in the customer care. So when I click on save, this 3 entry should automatically made with the respective department ID. So how we can do that? So for that you need to click on save all expenses, and you need to write some code. Now what we are going to do? Now let me explain you with the help of the example. Let me just move this thing little bit side. Okay, and let me draw something. Okay, now here this is my gallery. Okay, my gallery is containing the data, and here there is a table. Okay, I have a second table. Okay, now this table has a data in this format. Okay, now what I will going to do, I will pick up one value from this and add it into that, and then I can pick up the second value and add it into that. I need to pick up this third value and add it into that. Now every time there is no fixed value that every time I am going to add 3 expenses, sometime 1, sometime 2, sometime 3, sometime 10. It depending on what type of expenses we are managing. So for that, what we are going to do, we are going to pick up one value, one by one, all the value which is there in that, and then we are adding into the table. So how can we do that? So in Power App there is one function called for all. Now for all basically a kind of for loop. Those who are from coding background, they know that how to iterate with the lots of data. So for all is a kind of thing or kind of function which will pick up the data one by one row at a time, and do that, one row at a time, process it and do it. So we are going to write a code for that. So let me show you what I have written on that. So for all basically accept 2 things, okay, 2 arguments for adding purpose. First one, you need to in which data You from where, first of all, where you want to pick the data. So I want to pick the data from the gallery. And the second thing, where you want to dump the data or where you want to store the data. So for that, what you need to write, so let me just click on the save all, and let me expand the code, and on button click event you need to write for all. Then you need to write a bracket, and then you need to from where you are going to pick the data. So using a collection, now see, we have created that collection, expense collection. So here you need to write the collection name, so expense collection. Then after that, what you want to do with that collection. So we want to pick up one value and we want to dump the one by one value into that. So for that you need to write patch. Patch function has a multiple use for storing, for updating. Okay, so this time we are using patch function for storing purpose. So let me show you how you can write. So first of all, you need to write a patch function, and inside a round bracket of the patch function, you need to write where you want to store the data. So I want to store the data into the department table. Now you can see, sorry, I want to store the data in expense table, but expense table is not visible. Why? We have already created the expense table, but here you cannot see. The reason is till now you have not added that table in a data source. So you need to click on this and search for expense table. Okay, this is in a small case, so expense, or you can, if it is not visible, you can write it, click on add data and search for expense tbl. Okay, and you can edit that. Okay, so my data source is added, and here now it will be visible in that. So expense table, before you cannot see that. The reason is you forget to add it into the data source. Now I need to add into this table. Okay, so for that, if you want to add something using a patch function, you need to write defaults, and then you need to write not department table, but I need to use it into the expense table. Okay, and then after, in a curly bracket, you need to write the value one by one. Now see, whenever we are adding the value, so left hand side we need to write the column name, and right hand side we need to write the whatever column we are referring, or whatever the row we are referring from the collection. So how you can write it down? So let me write it in a square bracket, and when you write, see, we need to enter the first expense description. So expense, okay, don't forget to write here the comma, and then expense amount. Automatically whatever the column is there of the table, you can see that. So first of all, I need to expense description, and then this record dot expense description, you can check it out. Then you need to write expense amount. Okay, so expense amount. Now here you need to write this record dot expense amount. Now after that, you need to write department ID. Now this time, see, we are going to iterate each and every value from the collection one by one. Okay, so for that, let me just look into the ID. Okay, so this is the name of the column, department ID. So here you need to write department ID. Then you need to use lookup for that, and you are going to use lookup for department table dot which column department ID equal to label. Now see, this department ID, it should be equal to the which column. So let me show you. This should be equal to the column which is, this should be equal to the value which is showing into that label. So let me show you. Now this value we want to insert it into that. So for that, go back to there and just write it again, and make sure you write a correct name of the column. Okay, so if you see, this is the department ID, and in a department table, this column is the same name. So for that, you need to use lookup, and you need to use a department table. Then you need to write department ID equal to LBL department ID dot text, and complete the bracket. Okay, now let's save and run it. Okay, so let's say these 4 expenses I want to add it into this expense table. Okay, now this should go with the department ID 1002. Now click on save all expense. Now my data is added. Let me check it out. We will put a notification and everything, so we get to know that. But let me check it out first. Now see. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, now see, whatever data we have added into that particular department, we have added this. These are the 3 expenses of department 2, and you can check it out. Okay, so I hope you get it how to add the data. Now what we want to do after saving all the data, my collection should be clear. So for that, after writing this, you need to write clear collect, and you need to write the expense collection dot expense collection. So it will clear the value from the collection. Okay, and let me save it, and after that we want to notify is a kind of message that you will get it. Okay, notify data saved successfully, data saved. Okay, we just want to display a message like that. Okay, now see, let me let me clear the collection first of all. Okay, manually if we want to clear a collection, we just need to click on this run on start, and on start we need to write clear collect, and we will write expense collection. For just clearing purpose, I am writing this expense collection. Okay, you can skip, but to show you properly I need to write this. See, run on start, so everything is clear, and just edit. So production department, and let's say in production department I am adding the machine expense, and the amount is, let's say, this much. Added the amount machine. Then I am adding the expense of salary, and let's say this is the 3 lakh rupees. Okay, and let me add this, and you can see the data saved. And if you refresh if we refresh the table, we get to know that. Okay, let me just refresh the tab. Okay, and let me see, we have added the machine expenses and all these things. Okay, now see, machine and salary expense for the respective department I have added. So this way you can add the data using that. So we have finished with designing one application which will add the data of respective department into the expense table. Now I have designed also extra things to show you. Let me run this screen and show you. Now see, I have added several expenses, but I want to see that expenses. Now when you run that, now see, I want to see the department of sales. So all whatever the data is there, you can check it out. When I select the production, only that. Okay, now I have here I am using some different table because this is another demo which I have prepared for just demonstration purpose. So I am using the other data for that. So don't confuse with the data which we have given. You may have a question, we have added several data, but here it is not showing. So here see, when I click on the IT department, this much expenses I have done. When I click on this much expenses I have done. So what you need to do on that screen, you need to just design 2 gallery, and in one gallery, in this gallery you need to give the data source name as a table, which from where the data is coming, and here you need to write this code, that whatever department is selected for that. Let me explain the code. Now if the gallery, whatever data we have selected from this gallery, if it is blank or if it is not blank, then what we need to do, we need to filter the data from the expense table. Which data we need to filter? Whatever the ID is selected for that. So here is the code for selecting the respective department based on whatever expense or whatever department ID we have selected. Okay, now let's see that this is the production. Okay, you can check it out. So this is the code. Okay, you can take a screenshot of that code, so you will get to know that. Okay. Okay, now if uh, now I hope you have taken the screenshot of this. Okay, so we are done with the creating application. Now the last thing that I told you, after creating an application, we want to publish that application and we directly want to use it. Every time we don't want to use run it and we can use it. So let's say I am the developer in my department. I developed this beautiful application for my company and I want to publish this. So how you can publish that? So for that, here is the thing that you need to click on publish. Let me show you by little bit zoom. Okay, here is the button that you can see that publish the app. Once you publish the app, here they are ask you for do you want to publish this version or not. So if you click on publish, this version will be published. Until what I am doing till now, I am just saving the application. But let's say my application runs successfully, saved properly, then it's time to deliver to the end user. So for that I need to publish it. So let me just save it, make sure it is saved properly. Now it is disabled, that means everything is saved. And let's say if you want to add something in that, so you need to click on that and click on setting. You can change the app icon, app background color and whatever. Okay, I'm not changing it, but you can change it. Okay, so here let me publish this version. So this version is published. Now let me little bit zoom out. Okay, now how you can find your published application. So let's say your published application you can see here. So let me go to here and let me go to my teams, and here if you have that app, this is the teams. Okay, when you this is the team where you can add your application. So you need to click on that and search for application. Now which name you need to search? Expense demo live. Always give a meaningful name in when we are publishing the app, but just for understanding purpose I gave this name. So expense underscore demo underscore live. So let me search that expense underscore demo underscore live. Okay, LIVE. Okay, so you can check it out, that application. You just need to add that application. So it's just a kind of thing that when we are searching application in the Play Store and we are adding it. So it's very easy to publish the app. Okay, and now here you can see that there are different blank screen. The reason is that our white screen, one screen by default it will show the first screen. So this is not required. So let me delete this screen. Okay, and let me save it again, and again if you are doing any changes, so after changes you need to publish, and it will maintain the version. Okay, so the app is published. Now let me refresh it. Okay, still it is not showing. Let me just edit again. Okay, give me a second. Expense live demo. Now you can check it out. Okay, so directly whatever application you used, your HR will use that application from his or her team. So I'm done with the application development using Power App. Now it's time for question answer. If you have any question, you can post your question into the chat box and I will try to answer. Now if I am not able to answer all the question, later on I will answer after the demo session. Okay, so you can post your answer or you can post your question in a chat box. I can see that. Okay, let me check it out whether you have posted anything or not. Okay, so I did not get any answer, but in future if you I do not get any question in the chat box. But let's say if you have any question, you can post it. Later on, I will answer. So we are done with our live session. Thank you for choosing Know-How Academy as a source of your IT knowledge. And thanks for attending live session. If you have any question, you don't